Hello, everybody. It is a great day today. It's beautiful outside. Um, my name is David Monias. I'm your host today. I'm going to be cooking with you. We're going to be cooking shepherd's pie. It's going to be lovely. Of course, I always love to introduce my other co-host.
Hi, it's me, Karen, and I have a smudge going today. It is prairie sage that is harvested by my coworkers and some sweetgrass for a little bit of extra kindness. So welcome everybody. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So before we get started, there's a few things I always go over at the beginning of every class. One of those things is our land acknowledgement. We are on, or at least I am. I'm on Treaty One territory, the land of the Cree, Anishinaabe, and Ojibwe, everything like that. It's also the heart of the Métis Nation. Uh, and I always just love to kind of remind people because it is something to always remember. Uh, but I also have one really important thing to also bring up today too, and then you're gonna have to excuse me. I'm gonna also be reading off some notes here too. Saturday, March 20th, so that's coming up right away, is the first day of spring. Um, to mark the spring equinox, we have also included a tobacco tie. You can use it to give thanks to the spring and give thanks that we made it through another winter. Um, our grandmother Karen, or my co-host, will also be explaining more during the Zoom class. And green is for new growth, yellow is for the sun, and blue is for the water. And we'll explain a little bit more today. And yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And with that said, get your potatoes ready. We're gonna get straight into it. And just so we're being conscious of time, because I do know that it's gonna be a little bit maybe a little bit front heavy, and I want to make sure everybody's getting their food right away. I did pre-dice up some potatoes. I skinned them, washed them, and I also pre-diced up some onions. And we're gonna get started with that because I need to get those boiling. So, with that said, I already washed them. So if you haven't already, that's a great place to start. I'm gonna be cutting this knife. Cutting here. I'm gonna be cutting some decent pieces here. And if they happen to be a little bit thicker, that's okay. I also like to use these in like things like um, vegetable stock. So again, refer to our YouTube videos if you haven't learned about that. But yeah, and I'm just gonna be cutting off all the eyes, making sure it's nice and clean. We're just gonna have it nicely going right there, and we're just gonna do that. If you have better knife handling techniques, please do it. This is one that's a little bit more beginner friendly, and it just kind of keeps it out there. Kind of keep your hands a little bit away from the knife, wherever the knife will be, and you kind of just hold it steady while you kind of glide through the potato here. And then we're just gonna have our nice clean potato over here. You can keep the skin on if you like. I have made a shepherd's pie today with skin on, but just for today, I thought I'd switch it up because we have done a few recipes where we did end up keeping the skin on. So might as well just switch things up and maybe like um, just keep its variety out there, right? That's what I like to think. And we're just be really quick with that. And then Karen, did you have any input or anything to say today while I take my time with my potatoes here?
Hi again. Yeah, I want to just remind everybody that we are recording. Um, we will be editing it and posting it to YouTube so that others will be able to cook along with us. If there happens to be any children that show up in the video, we'll put a little emoji in front of their faces to protect the privacy. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about solstice and equinox. So sometimes we use those words interchangeable. And I looked up today to see what the difference was. So, solstice happens in the summer and the winter. And in the summer, we experience the longest day and the shortest. night. In the winter, we experience the longest night and the shortest day. But the equinox in the spring and in the fall, day and night are equal. So 12 and 12. So I thought that was super cool to learn about. So where are you at, David?
Oh, good timing. I just finished my my potatoes here. I'm just gonna do some quick cuts on them. Grab a different knife. It doesn't matter. They are fortunately, I'm only gonna be cutting some potatoes here, and I'm just gonna do some thin slices here. And thank you so much for that knowledge, by the way. And we're just gonna do small, just so when we boil these, that they kind of cook quickly. You could do it in bigger pieces. It doesn't matter. I'm just doing them a little bit smaller today. And we're just going to kind of put these off to the side and add them to our pile. And then I'm going to be shortly done. And then we can start boiling some water for the potatoes. And with that said, these are done. And I'm going to encourage everybody who has a pot to kind of do that now. And if you want, we can chat a little bit more about our next steps. So again, that's just cutting up some potatoes, having some water ran, and having some of that getting started. Please excuse me while I go grab our pot and the water. So today I'm going to be using a little bit of a more bigger one. It's not too bad right there. I'm just going to fill it up with a good amount of water. I'm going to have the water boiling on our oven over there.
Hey,
And
David.
of course, while we're touching, oh, did anybody have anything to say?
Hi, it's Cora.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. I just was, I'm cooking along with you guys. I just wanted to, a quick tip, when vegetables grow below the ground, like potatoes and carrots, typically you put them in cold water before you bring them to a boil. Anything above ground, you put into hot water when you're cooking them. So like cauliflower or, things that grow above the ground, then you put them in hot water when you're about to cook them.
Ooh, wow. That is good. That's very good tips. And
Just thought I'd throw it in there.
No, it's great. I love it. I love when people chime in. My favorite is when some of our participants have like better knowledge than I, and they can share it with our group here. And I just have the water going, and then we're going to be putting those guys in there shortly. And did you want to repeat that? Did you say that we should probably put the potatoes in sooner than later?
The potatoes in cold water because they grow below the ground where it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
Any vegetables that grow above the ground in the sun, go in hot water when you're cooking them.
Okay, well, maybe I'll go do that now. That's great. And I'm just going to put them in safely. Make sure they don't plop too much. And we're just going to get them going. Thank you so much for that pro tip. And then with that said, I just have some onions here. We're going to get started on our ground beefs quite soon. But I just wanted to chop up some of the onions. I do have some here, but I just wanted to also kind of cook with you guys, so I'm not leaving you guys behind. And I'm just cutting off to the side here. Just kind of get a little bit there. And I'm just going to put this off to the side so we're safe. And we're going to peel off the top here. Again, in previous classes we mentioned, if you wanted to make your own vegetable stocks, you could keep this stuff and boil it yourself. Today I'm just going to put it off to the side. And that tip is just there in case you guys want to be more conscious about the stuff that we throw out or how much we want to use things.
Hey, David, it's Jen.
Hi.
Hey, so I started a bag for you in the freezer with like little scraps like that. So if you do want to save them, there's a bag ready for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like one day I was thinking about if there was a lull during some of the workshops, I was going to show people how to cook that real fast.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I lost one of these guys. And I did notice it. I saw it when I pulled out the ingredients today. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
And then when we're cutting, we always make sure we're being mindful of like where our fingers are. We don't want them kind of like this. Here, I'll go to the overhead shot. We don't want to kind of be cutting like this. It is very easy to hurt yourself. If you do cut yourself, I'd say stop what you're doing, tend to your hands, and then be careful of any kind of surface that you've been working on, and maybe clean or start with something new, just because you don't want some of that stuff getting mixed in with your food.
So I want to say welcome to anyone who's joined us. We're at 19 participants. That's including me and our host. So I want to say welcome again, and please, if you have any questions, jump in either over the mic or in the chat. I've been watching the chat to help answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that. And then we are going to switch over to our overhead over here, and I'm going to add some more. I'm actually going to get started on some of our frozen veggies before I get started on our browning our meat today. So with that said, I do want to bring attention. I'm going to bring it back over to here. Some folks might have, when we're shopping for a lot of the participants today, sometimes we end up buying out the shelf. And you may or may not see some differences in like what we cooked today, whether that might be, you might have a vegetable medley, or you might receive something more like this. Sometimes there is kind of like a little bit things like that. But when we are shopping for about like 20 participants or even 25 sometimes, we end up cleaning out the shelves. And so it's just something to be conscious of. And yeah, I am going to get some water boiling for this and get that started. And I'm going to get this one started. You can put that on a higher heat too. And then like one thing I like to mention for a lot of families, especially families with households, is that we always try to be mindful of where this handle is. If you have a lot of little ones, or if this space is open or anything like that, where a handle may or may not, oh, turned on the wrong one, where a handle may or may not be kind of this way. Sometimes our little ones kind of also kind of like splash there. So it's just something to be something to be mindful of. And we'll get started on our ground beef. And I have mine right here. It's been cooling. It's been defrosting. It's quite a bit. So I'm going to throw it on in. And always be careful when handling raw meat. We always wash our hands in between. Even though I'm going to be extra careful today, I'm actually going to be rinsing my hands and giving them a good wash afterwards.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Do I add the onion after you start cooking the beef or before?
You can actually include it early if on. I like to kind of have it, I like having the meat getting started and producing its own kind of juice. And then I add the onions or any other kind of spices that you want to include.
Awesome.
But we'll get to that shortly.
Okay, thanks. Just thought I'd ask.
Awesome. And I'm going to get this one started as well. And there's a little bit of a lull. So if there's anything you want to speak to today about, Karen, that's a great time to fill in.
What's the oven set to? Sorry.
Go ahead. What was that?
What's the oven set to?
I have my oven set to 375, preheating the inside here. Thank you. That is a very good question. And I have all my dials set to kind of like medium to high, closer to higher, to be honest, just to kind of get going and brown those meats. Yeah, that's an excellent question. Thank you so much.
So I think in your packages, you were given the option of using your frozen vegetables for your middle layer, or a canned vegetable for your middle layer. So you can do one or the other. And, you know, if you want to, you could even do both. This is actually my mom's recipe, the one that I cook for my family. And I usually use the kernel corn in the middle. So I hope you enjoy it.
Definitely excited on trying out this recipe. I know a lot of us have been familiar with shepherd's pie, but this is definitely a different one, and I'm anxious to try it because it sounds very yummy. And with that said, I'm also gonna get ready my frozen veggies as well as my canned veggies. I do have, oh, I'm gonna pull it this way. I have some niblets ready here, and I love the corn. I love adding corn. So we're gonna add that. And I'm actually, just to be safe, I'm gonna put this off to the side. So we always like to be conscious about that. And then we're gonna even kind of get this started. Oh, this one is a little bit dull. I'll have to purchase a new one soon. But that is okay. Well, even my tools at home are kind of dull. When I get to use nice tools here at the office and our studio, I actually have a lot of fun. And there's no shame in having someone gently use tools as well. I always like to.
Hi, I'm Pam. Just letting you guys know that I'm new to your group and I kind of jumped the gun. I was in this frantic cleaning frenzy yesterday and I ended up cooking my shepherd's pie yesterday because I thought you guys were cooking yesterday.
Oh no.
So today I am cooking my dinner, but I am listening in on your shepherd's pie and stuff. And it was really good. My family enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm
That's
super
awesome.
happy to hear that you at least cooked it with us and you're participating in kind of
Love you.
the just like the engagement here. And I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And with that said, I'm going to go back to my overhead to my oven here.
Send us some pics sometimes if you can, Pam. That sounds really delicious. Unless it's already gone, then maybe not. Might be already in people's tummies.
I did make a couple of short videos. I fixed some those.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm going to grab my spatula. So I'm going to brown this meat. And then one thing to always be conscious about is like always want to be kind of stirring this around, kind of mixing it up every once in a while. Breaking it up into chunks. Mine was a little bit frosted still, so mine will take a little bit faster. Hopefully yours wasn't as frosty as mine. It is okay to kind of have some harder parts, but if in most scenarios, I think we want to have the meat as defrosted as possible, just to because it kind of cooks a little bit properly, and we have a proper way of like handling all that bacteria and like pretty much like removing it by cooking it. If the chances are, if you ever have to cook something a little bit hastily or something like that, or you have to get some food on the table, some pro tips that you can do is always add a cup of water. Some folks like to strain it. And yeah, so I'm just kind of mixing mine around. As you can kind of already see, some are browning up. I'm going to turn this up a little bit just so I can kind of get it going. And if you actually really want, I think someone had even mentioned it earlier, is that you can actually start adding in some of that onion so that flavor kind of kicks in really well. And we're just going to put quite a bit in here, to be honest. And mine's going to be a little bit onion heavy, and that's okay. I like my onions. And that's a good amount for me. I'm going to put this off to the side, and I'll be right back. And then with that said, what else would I need? We also have, if you have any seasonings at home, whether that be seasoning salt, salt, pepper, or even garlic, you can add those in right now. I'm going to add a little bit, tiny bit of pinch of garlic, not too much. I'm going to try to cut it a little bit smaller just while I'm waiting for things to boil, things to cook and brown. I'm just going to do this to kind of fill some time. Unfortunately, we weren't able to provide some of that today, but it is kind of an option that you can also have. And if you are going to use fresh garlic like I am today, always kind of mince it up as small as you can and kind of get it going. And just so that kind of that flavor kind of sinks in and dissolves within the meat. I'm just gonna have that. Get my clove ready. And yeah. And while we're waiting for all these to kind of go, Karen, if you have anything you want to share today, this would be a great time. There's going to be quite a bit of lulls as we wait for today's meal to cook.
Well, I too would like to speak a little bit about the tobacco tie that had been provided for each family. We're really happy that we could provide that to you. Tobacco is one of our medicines that we utilize, and it's important to us as First Nations people because it's the first plant that grew from our Mother Earth. And it's the one that the Creator had said that he would acknowledge. He said, I will acknowledge the first one, and it was tobacco. So when we pray and make our offerings, having that tobacco is a really wonderful gift. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't have tobacco, that they're not going to listen, because our grandfathers and grandmothers are very kind and they love us. But having our medicine helps to clear that way a little smoother. So the tobacco tie, as David had mentioned, is in a green cloth. And green represents our Mother Earth and the new growth that is coming. And I'm so ready for some green grass. We use the yellow ribbon to represent our grandfather's son, who now, after Saturday, will start making his way back north. So the days will start to get longer and we'll have more warmth and everything will start to grow and blossom. The blue, some of the tobacco ties had yellow ribbon and some had blue ribbon. So if yours had blue, that represents the water because the ice is starting to melt. Soon the thunderbirds will be here and the rain will come. And again, we'll have that cleansing and that new growth, and the buds will burst, and it'll be so many shades of green that you don't even know there's so many shades of green. And I'm so looking forward to that. When we think about spring, as David had mentioned, we give thanks for that new life. And we give thanks that we've made it through another winter. With the COVID, this winter has felt a little bit longer than it might have felt in years past. But we do have some of the gifts that have come with that we've been spending family time. We've been able to learn new things. We have this wonderful technology that helps us to connect as community. And, we can give thanks for that as well. One other thing that I would like to acknowledge and give thanks for before I turn it back to David is we have a new medicine that's come into our lands. And I was very, very lucky, very fortunate to receive my second dose of the Moderna vaccine on Saturday. So in about 2 weeks, I'll be 95% immune. And I'm so grateful for being given that opportunity as a grandmother to get that. And in my prayers every day, I always think about this medicine. And my prayers is that whoever wants to get it, that they might get it as quickly as possible so that we might be able to gather again in teeny tiny ways as we make sure that our community stays safe and healthy. Where are you at now, David?
Well, so I was able to kind of start browning. I've been as I've been browning my beef there, I've been kind of breaking it up into smaller bits, been able to kind of include some seasoning salt, some pepper, and I put a little bit of garlic as an optional thing, just because I know that's something I like. But I was just kind of getting rid of our niblets as well as our mushroom soup that we will be kind of mixing into our stuff over there once that's fully browned. And yeah, I'm just about to get started making sure our veggies are boiled, and I'm going to throw them in. So that's kind of where we are right now. And I'm just going to add them into our oven here, or our stovetop. I really like niblets, so I'm going to add quite a bit. That's something I really like. And, whoop, uh-oh, this is my fault. I should have been watching this. And that happens sometimes, and that's, you're gonna have to excuse me while I clean this up a little bit. Some of the starch and the foams were getting quite overwhelmed there, and I'm just gonna make sure I agitate it a little bit. I'm actually even gonna grab a fork to poke our, or a knife, kind of just to poke our potatoes here and kind of see where they're at. They're a little bit tender. We're gonna be waiting for them to kind of be extra tender. And if this happens like that, I am just gonna make sure that space is all cleaned up so it doesn't damage our oven. So give me 1 second while I add. I'm gonna see if I have some paper towels here, and give me 1 moment. It's technical difficulties.
I also have the flat glass cooktop, and there's times where that happens, where it spills all over. It makes a gigantic mess, but I have the Norwax cleaner, so I can bring that in next time I come, David, and it'll clean it right up. But one thing, a tip on the flat top is make sure your pots are dry on the bottom, and just wipe those messes as quickly as you can, and do your best to find a cleaner, or check Pinterest on how you can maintain that cooktop. Really different from the coils that we had when we were kids.
I'm still cooking with coils at home, actually. I actually kind of prefer them a little bit more. And just for people, I did wipe up our potatoes there, and I'm just gonna throw in our peas and our carrots, our vegetable medley. Just gonna have that kind of cooking right there. It's okay if it doesn't cook all the way through, but we do want it kind of being a little bit more tender. And then with that said, I'm just gonna mix this up. There's quite a bit of grease here, and I think I may or may not strain this. But one thing I'm gonna be conscious of is not making sure it goes down the drain, because sometimes a lot of grease and everything like that can really clog up our drains and cause a lot of headaches for us in the future. Whether that be renters or homeowners, something that would be conscious about. And with that said, I think we're kind of just still kind of waiting for everything to be done. If you haven't already, preheat your oven, because we are going to be kind of mashing things and kind of be almost ready to throw everything into the oven.
Excellent. It looks terrific. Do we want to do a quick check through all of our participants? We have a huge group today. There's 20.
Ooh, lovely. I think that's a great idea.
When you're ready, Chris.
Who's first?
Pamela, we have you on the camera. Hi.
Hi.
So you're enjoying the call?
Loving it.
Right on. I'm so glad you could join us.
Glad to be here.
Brittany, I see your stove. How are you doing with your cooking? Hi, how are you doing, Brittany?
Hello.
Hi.
It's going good. Actually, I have the meat browning. Vegetables are not boiling yet. Oh yeah, but here, look.
Excellent.
They're actually tender. They're almost there. Yeah.
Great.
My
Thank
little
you.
girl. Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah. And yeah. Awesome.
Hi, Jolene. We have you on the camera. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Awesome. Glad you could join us today.
I just been busy with school, so I actually have a chance to join in on the group today. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh, right on. Thanks. There's Crystal. How's it going, Crystal?
Hi, yeah, this is my first time actually doing this, well, on Zoom, but
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to be here and it's a nice change. I need to start doing something because I'm in early recovery and I'm just, yeah, I'm 9 months sober, so I'm just trying to find some things to do to keep myself busy because I've always been in a structured environment, and this is the first time since I've been sober being alone, so it's a huge change. I'm just glad to be here.
Thank you so much for sharing. Near the end of our call, we'll talk about some of the other programs we have at our office, okay? And you'd be welcome to join any of them.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Jordan and her hubby, how's it going?
Hi, it's chill.
Awesome. I didn't get hubby's name.
Oh, his name is Koyan, but English name is Kyle.
Hi, glad you could join us.
Hi.
I just have to sit, so he's doing most of the cooking.
Excellent. And there's Rachel, Kieran, and Keely. How are you doing?
Hi, I lost Karen and Keely for a little bit. So we are kind of a bit of ahead of the group. Just because I got something that I've got to get started, paper for school. So I started cooking about 20 minutes before you guys did, but I think we're almost ready to throw it in.
It looks terrific.
Thanks.
Be sure to send us some pictures of your finished.
We will for sure.
Awesome. Hi, Peter. How's it going?
Hey, just seeing at my girl, just everything on the stove right now.
Okay.
Cooking the potatoes, the meat, and the vegetables. I got this little pack of gravy that I'm gonna add to the top of it when it's all done.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
That sounds very yummy. I'm glad to see some improvisation there.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Peter.
This is my baby Anea, by the way. If it's okay.
Hi. Glad you have your little helper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Back to you. Gosh, hi guys.
Go on. We're doing good. I'll show you. Oh, am I muted?
No, I can hear you.
Okay,
You're
perfect.
loud and clear.
I'm trying to get untangled here. There we go. Yeah, we're good. We're a little bit behind. We got Joel got stuck by a train and he had to get some groceries. So we're good. We got the meat going and it has the onions added. We're just waiting for the potatoes to boil and then we're getting the vegetables ready right now.
Right
Wow.
on.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. I see Crystal has added in the chat that she's putting tomatoes in hers. That sounds yummy.
That sounds
Mm.
There's Lillian. Hi, Lillian. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm just adding the meat to the pan now. And then I just mashed the potatoes. So I'm really glad. It's smelling really good. Thank you. I've never tried this recipe before like this.
So you're a little bit ahead. So you already put the mushroom soup in?
Yes.
Awesome. That's my favorite meal. It's mushroom soup and mashed potatoes with hamburger.
And with that
Thanks,
said, I'm
Lillian.
gonna take over just for a tiny bit.
You bet.
And I'm actually just going to add in the mushroom soup right now. It's a little bit thicker. Because it is thicker and it is one of these kind of Campbell soup styles, we're actually going to include maybe about 1/3 of it. So that's kind of almost just about right there worth of water. Just to kind of add it in. So pardon me while I get all that. And we can mix it on in. And what you're going to be doing, my vegetables are quite almost done. So I'm just going to mix this up real good. Then I'm going to start mashing my potatoes. And then we're just going to let this simmer. We're going to bring it a little bit more down on the temperature, as well as bringing down the temperature for our veggies or our frozen veggies. We're just going to mix this in real good. If it's a little bit watery, that's a little bit okay. The nice thing about all these potatoes is that it's going to soak up a lot of this moisture. And it looks pretty good. And I think I'm going to get started on mashing my potatoes. And actually, because I have to strain them, and I don't think we have a strainer within our office, I'm going to have to get creative and use one of these lids. It's not really safe. I'm going to encourage, if anybody's going to have to follow the same suit, that they use either an oven mitt or anything like this to kind of prevent any steam from hurting you. I don't want to encourage people to hurt themselves, so please use caution. So excuse me while I do that, and then we'll get started on mashing and making our shepherd's pie ready for the oven.
While David is doing that, can we carry on with our check-in with the families?
Of course, that's a great time for that.
Be safe there, David.
Of course.
Who's next?
That was everybody?
Was that everybody? Huh. What about you, Cora? How are you doing? Oh, there's Tamer.
Me?
Hi.
Oh.
Cora, can you be ready next? Tamer, how's it going?
Sure. Are you talking to me or are you talking to?
We have Tamer on the camera, and then we'll go to you.
Tamer. Okay.
Hi. I'm good, I guess. Trying to peel these little potatoes. I don't know. It's hard.
Well, you could leave the skin on if you want. That would be okay.
Huh?
You could leave the skin on if you wanted.
That's what I did. We're running out of time.
Okay.
And if you ever feel worried about like having that fancy places, actually use a lot of the
bag of potatoes. There was 2 small bags of potatoes.
I know.
Okay, well, we'll let you get back to it, okay? Just message us if you need any help. And thanks for your patience, Cora. If you would let us know how you're doing.
Oh, I'm doing good. I made a few modifications because my kids are really picky and fussy. So I had to make some changes because otherwise they wouldn't eat it. But yeah, it's going good and I'm enjoying myself. So nice being with you all. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Do we have any more families to check in with, Chris?
No, I think that's about it.
Awesome. So we're back to David.
Pardon?
We're back to David.
Awesome. So I'm going to be over on the overhead camera here.
Oh, wait.
I do have these little boards to kind of prevent anything happening to the tabletop here, and we're just going to give this a nice mash. I did throw in some. Hello. Uh-oh.
Tamer, did you have a question?
No.
I think it was Cassidy, correct?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay.
Then we'll just no worries.
All right.
So just going back into it, I do have my potatoes ready to mash. We're just I did add some butter in there. You could add milk. I'm gonna keep a little bit of the moisture in mind, just because that's just how I like it a little bit. And we're just gonna kind of whip it up a little bit too. And if you're adding milk, you can actually like do a little bit of whipping, almost kind of like this, and it almost kind of gives it this nice fluffy texture. And we're just gonna get a good mush on there. If it piles up, just mix it on in there. And I almost, the technique that I like using right now is kind of mush and then spin. And it gives it a nice thing. And you can like, one of the pro tips that I received from Karen, again, is just like doing a little bit of.
Hear you guys.
Hi, how's it going there?
Well, I just didn't hear you that good. You're very quiet.
Who am I?
You were it for a second. I guess maybe it's because someone was calling me.
Oh, that's probably right. And then I can repeat that for you if you like.
Mix the mushroom soup into the beef.
Yeah, you can do that. If you want to switch over to over here, we're just going to be mixing it up and kind of just having it in there. You can add like one, like using the can that you just had, just add a little bit of water in there. It could be one third of the can. And you can let this simmer after. And yeah, I'm going to get ready our pan just so we can kind of get started. And I'm going to bring it right there. I'm actually even going to put our cutting board underneath it just to be conscious of like the wood underneath. And I love using the campsite method where I like to leave the space cleaner and in better shape than I found it. So I'm going to bring this on over. Please be careful if it's hot. It's going to be nice and warm. And then maybe I'll grab one more board just to put underneath the pan that we provided here. And just to protect our tables, right? And then you can use either one of these ones. They're quite shallow, if you haven't noticed. They're quite thin. Or you can use something like this. I found this at Walmart for, I think it was 20 bucks. And it came with a bunch of different Pyrex glass containers like that. But with that said, I'm gonna get back into putting it on here. And we're just gonna layer it on in. And I'm gonna even bring it a little bit closer just to prevent some.
Sure, whatever.
And you're just gonna put that all in there. And we're just gonna spread it on even all throughout the thing here, the pan. And that looks so yummy. It smells really good too.
We're doing great for time. We have about 15 minutes left.
Perfect. And then with that said, where we'll leave off today is probably putting our shepherd's pie in the oven. And yeah. And I think Chris has maybe some pictures prepared on what it may or may not look like. He may or may not. We'll see. Ooh. And if I haven't told you guys already, I'm always so happy that you guys show up and participate. It makes me really happy to see kind of just the smiling faces and the fact that a lot of people are using this as family time to cook with their loved ones. That just puts on a smile on my face. And again, I'm going to throw up our social medias overlay on our call today. And if you want, I would encourage you, and I would really be happy if you did. If you could share any photos that you have here with us today on those social medias, or even with your the staff that you're directly connected with, that'd be lovely. And for those who can't see what I'm doing right now, I'm just actually adding some of the cooked veggies onto the top here. And we're just gonna generously just add a whole lot of here. And we're just gonna kind of shake them on in. And we're just gonna very generously just put it all over there. And if you have some leftovers, that's okay too.
Me farting? Oh no, they can't hear me. Oh.
I can hear you now. Hello. Oh, I think you muted yourself now.
Sorry.
It's okay. It happens. It happens. It
I
happens.
was I was trying to say something, but I didn't mean to say it to you guys. I don't know. I thought it was yeah.
Okay, it
Well, we didn't hear
happens.
anything rude or anything like that. So,
Okay.
or
She came
anything
for a hug.
embarrassing.
Aw.
She comes and hugs me.
Aw.
Do we need to put the oven on broil to brown the potatoes at the top, or do we just keep it on 375?
You
My
can put it on
could.
broil if you like. I
You
like to kind of
could.
get it started with oh, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, you could once it gets to near the end where it's starting to heat through and you can see some bubbles, you could switch to broil and that helps to kind of crisp up the top. And then there's a lot of variations. You could even add cheese, like, you know, someone had tomatoes, someone had extra gravy, Cora changed it up. So, you know, go ahead and do what you think is right.
Mm-hmm. Nice thing is that this is all going into our tummies, and it's going to be yummy either way. And there's, like she said, there's a lot of room for variations. Folks have been kind of doing their own thing, and I really appreciate that. I like that. In past recipes, I've seen people do air frying some of the stuff instead of baking or frying. And yeah. And here's a pro tip, and I'm going to let Karen actually explain it a little bit better than I. Did you want to go with that, Karen?
So you see that David is, keep it on David, please.
Oh, on.
So you see that David has taken a little bit of mashed potatoes onto the spatula, and then he's kind of flattened it out to make a little bit of a potato patty. And now he's spreading it a little bit, and that helps to make our layers a little bit even and to make sure that we have enough for our little baking dish.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just like cutting it underneath there, and I'm kind of just like spreading it on here afterwards. And then normally the technique would probably hit each corners, but I think this pan might be a little bit bigger than the amount of potatoes I have here today, but that's okay. Happy accidents happen all the time, right? And we're just gonna scoop up a lot of this. And I'm grabbing a butter knife and then just kind of flattening it out here. And then I'm just gonna kind of fill in some spots. And then with my knife or even like your spatula, you can kind of even bring it on. It's almost like icing a cake.
That looks terrific.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be so yummy. I'm excited for everybody to try their own creations here today.
So again, our social media overlay is up. We're on Twitter, FNFAO MB. Facebook is First Nations Family Advocate, and your Instagram worthy photos, FNFAO. Hashtag food as medicine.
Mm-hmm. Make it go trending. And here I'm just kind of, I use the rest and I'm just kind of spreading it nice and even. Sometimes I know we like to post the recipe list a little bit earlier. So if you have larger families, you can kind of prepare for the appropriate size. We do try to accommodate, but it's a little bit hard to when we have to accommodate quite a few people. So please be mindful of that. But with that said, it's looking pretty nice and it's quite hot. So what I'm actually going to do is actually, again, grab my handy dandy tablecloth and I'm actually going to grab it. And because I was smart, I actually did put it underneath a cutting board, and I'm actually going to put it in, but do not put in your cutting board or your oven mitt or tablecloth. And we're just going to slide them on in, and we're going to wait for about maybe 20 minutes, but it's more or less just keeping an eye on it. And we're just going to put that nice and even in there. Leave that in there. Be careful not to burn yourself on the oven door. And that's about where we should leave off for today. How are people going? Do I need to check in with anybody to make sure they're keeping up? Are people excited to eat this?
Here's another opportunity to check in if you would like or ask some questions.
I caught up and this is what mine looks like.
Wow.
It even has cheese on top.
Looks
Oh.
wonderful.
So good.
Chef's kiss. It looks so yummy.
It's gonna.
Wow.
How are some other folks going there?
Looks like Josh and Jen are still waiting on those potatoes. How's it going, guys?
I don't know.
We're
You
still
doing
waiting
okay?
on potatoes, but we're doing okay. I'm gonna put the veggies down right away on top of our beef, so I have it kind of all in my dish.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Jordan and Kyle, how are you doing? Have you got it in the oven yet?
You guys.
Oh, we're just building it now.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Leave it there.
So I'm trying to find out who is asking a question or waving at me. Okay. Hilda's potatoes are still cooking, so thank you for that update. You were able to see the steps though, and they would be in the recipe as well.
Mm-hmm. And if you needed me to check in or repeat anything, let me know.
Peter, I see you've started to layer.
Ooh.
Oh, it looks good.
Potatoes are done. I'm just waiting for my gravy.
Nice.
Excellent.
The gravy sounds so good. That sounds so good, my man.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could add like maybe a little bit.
Ooh, wow.
Wow.
Yum.
Looks yummy.
But I had to take some out, so.
That's okay. You can eat it right there.
Yeah,
I'd eat it while waiting.
I wish I had some leftovers so I can munch out.
yeah, I would eat that.
It's getting dinner time and I still have to wait to get home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just a quick tip. You can check up on it, kind of see if you have something transparent like this one. I would even make sure. Oh, we're gonna pull it up here. You can use it to kind of make sure you can see how it's cooking on the inside. If it's kind of bubbling, once you're seeing those bubbles, I would encourage you to put it on broil so you have that option on your oven. My home oven doesn't have that option, so I would just keep it in there. And honestly, it tastes very good either way. But that broil will give it a nice crispy top on the mashed potatoes there. And it's like, And if you have leftovers, save them for tomorrow. I feel like leftover shepherd's pie is also just so good. And with that said, I think it's about time we wrap up. I'm your host, David Monias. We also have our co-host, Karen Twain. Again, we haven't said it enough. Show us your pictures. I love seeing your meals. I love seeing all that stuff. We have lots of programs going on here in the office. We actually started another group, Beating as Medicine. You can call our office about it if you're interested. We have some more family focused kind of programs or even self-improvement programs, which are kind of like, we have our women's wellness group, our men's wellness group. We have traditional parenting. Please check in with our office or any staff that you work with on what's available. And I really encourage you to kind of engage with our staff. There's some lovely people working here at our office.
Thanks
And
so
with that
much for
said,
joining us.
yeah, well said.
Can't wait to see your pictures.
I know, I'm excited. I want to see some Instagram worthy pictures. It's my favorite part of Thursday. And with that said, I think that's a good time to end it there. Hope you guys have a good time. Check in with us if you have any questions.